Welcome to the presentation of Walking Through Normativities of Reproductive Bodies, a method for critical analysis of tracking applications.
My name is Lara Reime. I'm a PhD fellow at the IT University of Copenhagen in Denmark, and I will present this collaborative work done with Vasiliki Tsaknaki and Marisa Cohn. So in this presentation, we explore approaches to investigating menstruation and fertility tracking applications, which I will further call MFTAs. And there's a broad variety of apps out there, and the way they generally work is that they prompt users to track information on their bodily sensations, activities, and practices, and render this information into quantifiable data. And through such quantifications, they provide predictions on future beginnings of menstrual bleeding and fertile phases. So they're not only collecting intimate data, but potentially also restrict the knowledge produced about users' bodies. They also often embed normative understandings of reproduction and gender. And to investigate such normativities and map the ecologies these apps are part of, we employed the walkthrough method and first-person reflections on 3 examples of MFTAs called TRIP, TILI, and CLUE. And we understand our contribution to HCI and reproductive health in particular as twofold. Firstly, we contribute by exploring the walkthrough method that allows for a critical engagement with existing apps and thereby offers a tool for designers and researchers to examine them as sociotechnical artifacts, so unpacking their embedded social and cultural understandings. Secondly, our analysis of 3 contemporary MFTAs brings forward understandings and normativities of reproductive bodies. We also investigate narratives through which they are becoming reproduced with technology. But due to time constraints, I will only share some of our findings of what the method allowed us to see, but our paper offers a more extensive discussion of the walkthrough method itself, if you're interested in that. So we have worked with first-person reflections and the walkthrough method, as outlined by Leavitt, Bridges, and Duguay, which differs from the user walkthrough most often used in HCI. So rather than only focusing on how interaction flows, we attended to the socio-cultural ecologies these apps are part of to determine why interaction is being imagined to flow in a certain way. So this means that rather than exploring how users are navigating and using the app, this form of the walkthrough is aimed at exploring how design and interaction attributes of a given app, in our case MFTAs, are entangled and situated in social and cultural ideas of, for example, reproduction. So moving on to our findings, through our analysis we have surfaced 3 types of normativities and underlying assumptions of reproductive bodies that MFTAs might hold for end users. And these are normativities of gendered reproductive bodies, of self-caring and knowing reproductive bodies, and of disengaged reproductive bodies. The first is normativities of gendered reproductive bodies, and here we are asking questions such as what gendered identities are included. And for example, here you can see a screenshot of the sign-up process of the app TILI, which on the first sight might indicate an openness to who might be using the app, as the app is asking for the user's biological sex and gives different options such as female, male, and I prefer not to say. But we find that this openness does not become mirrored in the actual app space, where most of the material is centered around female fertility. Also, notifications that are being sent out by the app are carrying assumptions that users of the app are in heterosexual relationships, aiming to conceive naturally on their own. So here the walkthrough method enabled us to pay attention not only to the meaning of icons, but also to the meaning the mere existence of a tracking category might carry. By including categories like sex, diet, exercise, or meditation, the app carries certain ideas of a reproductive body, sexuality, and self-care. So this brings us to normativities of self-caring and knowing reproductive bodies. And here we are asking, what modes of knowing do the apps promise or promote? So for example, in Tilly, there's a lot of focus on self-care, which becomes visible through its own dedicated space in the menu header. And the space provides different guides for yoga and meditation. So the space carries the idea that one takes good care of oneself through such practices in obtaining a healthy body. And the knowledge space of Tilly provides different information on fertility processes. However, only binary aspects of fertility, so male as well as female fertility, are being discussed. And from these discussions, it seems that it's only the female body, that is, the reproductive body, that requires such attention of tracking and self-care. So the third theme of analysis includes how users are becoming oriented towards engaging or disengaging. And here's a screenshot from the app Clue, which clearly states who should not be using the app, as their predictions will inherently be wrong. It says that people under 20 years old or who have been recently pregnant or breastfeeding of medical conditions such as PCOS should not be using the app or the predictions. So instead of adapting and personalizing tracking options, accounting for individual bodies and different rhythms, the app is informing the user when not to rely on predictions. And through reflecting on what kind of labor the app's predictions require from the user, it became apparent that the different research apps communicate this to varying degrees of transparency. For example, TRIP is quite clear which track data is being used in order to calculate fertile windows and future menstrual bleedings. Tilly and Clue, on the other hand, promote narratives of the more data, the more precise predictions they can offer, animating people to track all sorts of information and habits, such as exercise or diet. And this means the stake of opting in and out of data collection are different in the respective apps. So summing up, through combining first-person reflections with the walkthrough method, we created a frame that explores relations of cultural, technological, and scientific understandings of reproduction on the one hand, and practices of tracking and self-care on the other hand. And in that, we brought forward the multiple ways these apps embed various normativities. And while we criticize this, we have also explored how users often seek some sort of objectivities, as there is a desire for comparison and understanding of what normal is. So this led us to study and reflect on how and if design can evade normativities while working within structures of objective sense-making. So we suggest that if we want to take seriously users' needs for objectivities, then we should expand design approaches to include a greater plurality of data objective structures. So instead of attempting to design against dominant narratives of the reproductive body as cisgendered, cis-hetero, or able-bodied, we might instead seek to design for a plurality of reproductive bodies. And we might be able to do that by acknowledging and engaging with a multiplicity of normativities of underrepresented experiences of fertility and reproductive health. So we propose inclusive design of MFDAs should not completely abandon or eliminate data objectivities, but engage with them through intersectional and multiple perspectives, accounting for different contexts, users, and types or degrees of engagement.
Thank you very much for listening.